Chapter 15. Namadaraka, who listened to the account of Sriguru's life and deeds with faith and devotions, wished to know one point in greater detail. He said to Siddha, Holy Lord, you have said that the grace of Sriguru, a fallen Brahmin, became a wise one. Pray tell me what has happened to him afterwards. Siddha said, My son, the Brahmin was spiritually awakened by the grace of Guru and prayed to him, Please tell me why I am fallen from my former state. Sri Nrsimha Saraswati replied, Virtuous deeds elevate us to the higher realms of existence, while sinful ones drag us down to the lower states of being. Thus the ego will ever be shuffling between the higher and lower realms of existence like a rotating automation. Those who desert their gurus, mothers, wives, children, their ordained path of righteous living and the deities of worship will suffer the respective punishments in their subtler bodies soon after their death. Then, in order to work out those consequences of their sins, which can be experienced only by a gross physical body, they will be born on this earthly realm with gross bodies in the wombs of the low-born ones. So too, the one with the violent nature, the false one, and the one who rails at sadhus, pious Brahmins, gods, holy places of pilgrimages, Vedas and sacred texts, one who spoils public water tanks, wells, gardens and public roads and religious sacrifices, the one who eats on such holy days as Ekadasi, on which religious vows are to be observed, one who indulges in sexual union on festive days, on the holy days, on days of ceremonial offerings, to the mains and in water, the one who betrays the trust reposed in him, the one who takes back what he had given away to someone as a gift, the one who fails to keep his word, one who deliberately shoulders the tasks which legitimately belong to others, one who always proclaims purposefully the meritorious deeds as he has performed and the wicked deeds of others, one who boasts of greatness which he lacks, one who artfully associates with the wicked, murderers and thieves, the murderer, one who practices such forms of black magic as killing others, one who undertakes to treat a patient without really having the necessary medical knowledge and thereby endangers the life of others, one who has cast away his sacred duties, and one who causes grief to others. All these will pay for their misdeeds in their subtler bodies after death, in the world of death. Then to suffer for their sins, which can be atoned for only through gross physical bodies on earth, they will be reborn in the families of the lowest of the low. On hearing these words, Namadaraka had a doubt, so he said, Sir, when I hear you talk of the subtle body and the world of death, I have a question to ask you, and only you are capable of answering it. I only hesitate for the fear of interrupting the continuity of your story. Siddha said, Namadaraka, it is better for you to present your question as soon as it arose, for if you do not get it cleared, your mind will be diverted from my account of Sriguru in ruminating over it. In this manner, it is better for you to put forth the question and be done with it rather than shutting it up in the heart for fear of interrupting my account. Overwhelmed by the loving patience of Siddha, Namadaraka bowed to him and said, It is said that the soul reaps the consequences of its action in the next birth. For instance, in this life I perform some actions which are meritorious and some which are otherwise. I will have to reap the consequences of both in my next life. But how come they say that the soul, after leaving the body, will suffer the consequences of its action in subtler realms like heaven and hell? How is it that the soul has to experience the consequences of its actions twice? Once in the subtler realms beyond death, and again in the next birth? Is it just or proper that it should be so? It looks though as one has to experience the effects of a single action twice. How is it? Siddha replied, Namadaraka, your doubt will not be resolved unless you listen very attentively to what I say. As you have said, it is not proper for you for the soul to reap the consequences twice for the same act. This physical form can stand and experience only joys and sufferings of a particular kind. Hence it is called the body which is destined to die or fall. Patanavadi, Maranavadi, Sarira. This body, for instance, cannot withstand the suffering called death. It is only fit to experience pleasures and sufferings within that range. The soul experiences these pleasures and pains which cannot be experienced through the physical body in the subtler realms of heaven and hell. The body which suffers the torments of hell is not the material body, but is the subtle sukshma body. It is called the yatana sarira, or the body that suffers. Thus the soul experiences these punishments of its sins which are beyond the range of the abilities of the physical body to suffer in hell. In order to experience these sufferings of a lower order than death, the soul again takes birth in this world with a material body. Thus the consequences of one's action that the soul suffers in hell and heaven are distinct from the consequences of action experienced in the next birth on earth. There is no question of one paying for a single act twice, as you seem to suppose. Thus, this doubt dispelled, Namadharaka asked, Siddha, be pleased to tell me what kinds of sins lead to what kinds of rebirths. Siddha explained, I have explained to you to some extent what sinful deeds in this birth lead to one's rebirth in the families of sinners, Chandalas. Besides, one who is vengeful, one infatuated with a low-born woman, one who has given up his holy acts enjoined by Shastras for daily and occasional observances, one who rides a bull, one who sells ginger, leaves and cows and Vedas, one who partakes of a cow's milk without first offering it to the Supreme Lord of the creation, one who eats prohibited foodstuff, one who accepts the offering of the wicked one who robs others of their livelihood, one who sleeps during the twilight hours, morning and evening sandhya, at dawn and sunset, even if such one were a Brahmin in this life, will be born in the next as a sinner, Chandala. The punishment for sins which have to be endured through the subtle body in the realm of death, Yamaloka, are 8 crores and 40 lakhs in number. Of this, 21 are most prominent ones. Lord Yama ordains the appropriate punishment to sinners. The sinner leaves his gross physical form on earth. Immediately after that, the attendants of death, Yama, tie up his vital forces and put them in the subtle body, Yatana Sarira, and lead him along a path in which every step forward is fraught with terrors. Then the soul will experience unbearable thirst and hunger and finds it extremely difficult to walk along. But the attendants of death will frighten him till he faints with pain and fright. They restore him to his senses and drag him along the river of pus and blood called Vaitarani, so that he sinks and floats in it by turns. Thus they take him to the presence of the Lord of Death, Yama. Thereafter, undergoing all kinds of suffering in his subtle body, he again takes birth on earth to experience the punishment for his sins, which can only be experienced by him through it. If somehow he does not take birth owing to the force of the accumulated store of psychic associations, vasanas, he wanders about as a spirit, ghost, or ghoul and suffers the attendant sufferings. Now listen further. One who betrays his teachers or guru, or one who puts pious Brahmins to shame, becomes a Brahma Rakshasa. One who serves mean fellows will be born as an ass. One who eats alone, leaving his unexpected guest Atiti hungry, will take birth as a hen. He who steals others' money will be born as a camel. He who pilfers fruits, leaves, and vegetables will be taken birth as a monkey. One who steals honey will become a bird in his next life. Stealing of flesh makes one a raven. One who steals cooked rice will be born as a rat. And the one who steals water will take birth as a chataka bird. One who commits theft of food grains will become a locust. By stealing gold, one takes birth as a worm, insect, and a bird. By stealing grass, one will be born among the grass-eating cattle. One who eats food without consecrating with the appropriate mantra will be a crow in his next life. One who betrays a friend will be a kite. The boastful one will take birth as a crane. He who hurts the feelings of others will suffer from the disease of heart in his next life. He who deserts his guru and the one who steals gold will suffer from leprosy. He who tortures pious Brahmins will be overtaken by consumption in his future life. He who steals others' books will be born blind. He who betrays trust through ingratitude will suffer from nausea and vomitings. He who misappropriates public money will suffer chronic diseases of the glands of neck, Gandaroga. He who usurps others of their wealth will have no children in their next life. In his next life, one who steals garments will be a leper. He who utters falsehood or scandalizes others or steals food, three types of sinners will suffer from diseases of the spleen. Theft of oil makes one suffer from stinking diseases of the mouth. Theft of bronze and iron will make one suffer from white leprosy. He who swallows the funds of temples and shrines will be born anemic. Indeed, O Namadarka, all the diseases are consequences of past sins. He who embraces a woman who does not legitimately belong to him will be born 100 times as a dog. He who willfully steals the sight of private parts of a woman will be born blind. He who entices the wives of his relatives will become an ass and a snake. He who embraces other women with bad intent will suffer heart pain in his next life. He who entices and cohabits with the wife of his friend or uncle will be born as a dog. Women too, when they commit such sins as adultery, will suffer like punishments in the future births.
Chapter 15. Namadarka, who listened to the account of Sriguru's life and deeds with faith and devotions, wished to know one point in greater detail. He said to Siddha, Holy Lord, you have said that the grace of Sriguru, a fallen Brahmin, became a wise one. Pray, tell me what has happened to him afterwards. Siddha said, My son, the Brahmin was spiritually awakened by the grace of Guru and prayed to him, Please tell me why I am fallen from my former state. Sri Nrsimha Saraswati replied, Virtuous deeds elevate us to the higher realms of existence, while sinful ones drag us down to the lower states of being. Thus the ego will ever be shuffling between the higher and lower realms of existence like a rotating automation. Those who desert their gurus, mothers, wives, children, their ordained path of righteous living and the deities of worship will suffer the respective punishments in the secular bodies soon after their death. Then, in order to work out those consequences of their sins, which can be experienced only by a gross physical body, they will be born on this earthly realm with gross bodies in the wombs of the low-born ones. So too, the one with the violent nature, the false one, and the one who rails at sadhus, pious brahmins, gods, holy places of pilgrimages, Vedas and sacred texts, one who spoils public water tanks, wells, gardens and public roads and religious sacrifices, the one who eats on such holy days as Ekadasi, on which religious vows are to be observed, one who indulges in sexual union on festive days, on the holy days, on days of ceremonial offerings, to the mains and in water, the one who betrays the trust reposed in him, the one who takes back what is given away to someone as a gift, the one who fails to keep his word, one who deliberately shoulders the tasks which legitimately belong to others, one who always proclaims purposefully the meritorious deeds as he has performed and the wicked deeds of others, one who boasts of greatness which he lacks, one who actively associates with the wicked, murderers and thieves, the murderer, one who practices such forms of black magic as killing others, one who undertakes to treat a patient without really having the necessary medical knowledge and thereby endangers the life of others, one who has cast away sacred duties and one who causes grief to others. All these will pay for their misdeeds in the secular bodies after death, in the world of death. Then, to suffer for the sins which can be atoned for only through gross physical bodies on earth, they will be reborn in the families of the lowest of the low. On hearing these words, Namadarka had a doubt, so he said, Sir, when I hear you talk of the subtle body and the world of death, I have a question to ask you, and only you are capable of answering it. I only hesitate for the fear of interrupting the continuity of your story. Siddha said, Namadarka, it is better for you to present your question as soon as it arose, for if you do not get it cleared, your mind will be diverted from my account of Sriguru in ruminating over it. In this manner, it is better for you to put forth the question and be done with it rather than shutting it up in the heart for fear of interrupting my account. Overwhelmed by the loving patience of Siddha, Namadarka bowed to him and said, It is said that the soul reaps the consequences of its action in the next birth. For instance, in this life I perform some actions which are meritorious and some which are otherwise. I will have to reap the consequences of both in my next life. But how come they say that the soul, after leaving the body, will suffer the consequences of its action in secular realms like heaven and hell? How is it that the soul has to experience the consequences of its actions twice? Once in the secular realms beyond death, and again in the next birth? Is it just or proper that it should be so? It looks though as one has to experience the effects of a single action twice. How is it? Siddha replied, Namadarka, your doubt will not be resolved unless you listen very attentively to what I say. As you have said, it is not proper for you for the soul to reap the consequences twice for the same act. This physical form can stand and experience only joys and sufferings of a particular kind. Hence it is called the body which is destined to die or fall. Patanavadi, Maranavadi, Sarira. This body, for instance, cannot withstand the suffering called death. It is only fit to experience pleasures and sufferings within that range. The soul experiences these pleasures and pains which cannot be experienced through the physical body in the subtler realms of heaven and hell. The body which suffers the torments of hell is not the material body, but is the subtle Sukshma body. It is called the Yatana Sarira, or the body that suffers. Thus the soul experiences these punishments of its sins which are beyond the range of the abilities of the physical body to suffer in hell. In order to experience these sufferings of a lower order than the dead, the soul again takes birth in this world with a material body. Thus the consequences of one's action that the soul suffers in hell and heaven are distinct from the consequences of action experienced in the next birth on earth. There is no question of one paying for a single act twice, as you seem to suppose. Thus this doubt dispelled, and Namadarka asked Siddha, please to tell me what kinds of sins lead to what kinds of rebirths? Siddha explained, I have explained to you some extent what sinful deeds in this birth lead to one's rebirth in the families of sinners, Chandalas. Besides, one who is vengeful, one infatuated with a low-born woman, one who has given up his holy acts enjoined by Shastras for daily and occasional observances, one who rides a bull, one who sells ginger, leaves and cows and Vedas, one who partakes of a cow's milk without first offering it to the supreme lord of the creation, one who eats prohibited foodstuff, one who accepts the offering of the wicked one who robs others of their livelihood, one who sleeps during the twilight hours, morning and evening sandhya, at dawn and sunset. Even if such one were a Brahmin in this life will be born in the next as a sinner, Chandala. The punishment for sins which have to be endured through the subtle body in the name of death, Yamaloka, are 8 crores and 40 lakhs in number. Of this, 21 are most prominent ones. Lord Yama ordains the appropriate punishment to sinners. The sinner leaves his gross physical form on earth. Immediately after that, the attendants of death, Yama, tie up his vital forces and put them in the subtle body, Yatana Sarira, and lead him along a path in which every step forward is fraught with terrors. Then the soul will experience unbearable thirst and hunger and finds it extremely difficult to walk along. But the attendants of death will frighten him till he faints with pain and fright. They restore him to his senses and drag him along the river of pus and blood called Vaitarani, so that he sinks and floats in it by turns. Thus they take him to the presence of the Lord of Death, Yama. Thereafter, undergoing all kinds of suffering in his subtle body, he again takes birth on earth to experience the punishment for his sins, which can only be experienced by him through it. If somehow he does not take birth owing to the force of the accumulated store of psychic associations, vasanas, he wanders about as a spirit, ghost, or ghoul, and suffers the attendant sufferings. Now listen further. One who betrays his teachers or guru, or one who puts pious brahmins to shame, becomes a Brahma Rakshasa. One who serves mean fellows will be born as an ass. One who eats alone, leaving his unexpected guest Atiti hungry, will take birth as a hen. He who steals others' money will be born as a camel. He who pilfers fruits, leaves, and vegetables will be taken as a monkey, will be taken birth as a monkey. One who steals honey will become a bird in his next life. Stealing of flesh makes one a raven. One who steals cooked rice will be born as a rat. And the one who steals water will take birth as a charitra bird. One who commits theft of food grains will become a locust. By stealing gold, one takes birth as a worm, insect, and a bird. By stealing grass, one will be born among the grass-eating cattle. One who eats food without concentrating with the appropriate mantra will be a crow in his next life. One who betrays a friend will be a kite. The boastful one will take birth as a crane. He who hurts the feeling waters will suffer from the disease of heart in his next life. He who deserts his guru and the one who steals gold will suffer from leprosy. He who tortures pious brahmins will be overtaken by consumption in his future life. He who steals others' books will be born blind. He who betrays trust through ingratitude will suffer from nausea and vomitings. He who misappropriates public money will suffer chronic disease of the glands of neck, Gandaroga. He who usurps others of their wealth will have no children in his next life. One who steals garments will be a leper. He who utters falsehood or scandalizes others or steals food. Three types of sinners will suffer from diseases of the spleen. Theft of oil makes one suffer from stinking diseases of the mouth. Theft of bronze and iron will make one suffer from white leprosy. He who swallows the funds of temples and shrines will be born anemic. Indeed, O Nagaraka, all the diseases are consequences of past sins. He who embraces a woman who does not legitimately belong to him will be born 100 times as a dog. He who willfully steals the sight of private parts of a woman will be born blind. He who entices the wives of his relatives will become an ass and a snake. He who embraces other women with bad intent will suffer heart pain in his next life. He who entices and cohabits with the wife of his friend or uncle will be born as a dog. Women too, when they commit such sins as adultery, will suffer like punishments in the future. But as Sriguru went on, Trivikrama asked him, Holy sir, if once anyone knowingly or unknowingly commits any of these sins, there are no means at all of salvation from the same. He is one condemned to go through the miserable round of births. Sriguru smiled and replied, My son Trivikrama, the sins that accrue from one's previous deeds can be washed off through hearty repentance, through penitentiary religious acts, and by confessing one's sins in the public assembly, and by gladly receiving the punishment thereof as per the judgment of the elders. If one is not capable of observing the penitentiary vows, he can save himself by giving away a cow or its price as gift to a pious Brahmin. Part of the sin can also be undone by taking the 10 baths, dasasnana, by performing 200 pranayamas, and by gifting away gold. But by devotee serving the Sadguru, even very great sins will vanish. Indeed, there is no better means than this. Now I shall explain to you a few of the penitentiary vows, vrata, enjoined in the Shastras. Prajapatya Kritra Vrata. For 3 days, one takes